what does practice look like today after that road trip?
We had a good practice, no live stuff, with the back-to-back coming. But we should be well prepared for tomorrow. We got to go over a lot of detail that had been lacking on the trip without running the guys into the ground. And, a lot of things to tighten up on. We know that. And so today was a good day for that.
What are the biggest lessons that you want the team to obviously learn from those two rough losses?
Well, the pace of the game is off the charts these days. It's been getting faster and faster year after year, but I even think it's taken a leap this year just in terms of style of play. And this is how it works in basketball and technology and science, everything else, right? It's like the game is constantly changing. And so to me, what I'm seeing is teams are spreading it out, playing as fast as possible, making it difficult to, kind of get to your coverages defensively. The faster the actions, the more difficult it is for the defense to respond. And I thought the pace of the Milwaukee and Indiana games exposed some of the things that we were doing defensively, and we've got to improve those things to get better.
How would you assess the defense right now?
A little bit betwixt and between. Like I said, I think because of all this pace and the way teams are playing, you have to adapt, and you can't expect to do the exact same things you did even the year before. And every game's a little different. The Clippers, Lakers, Denver, those felt more like traditional, games where you're in your coverage. You have time to kind of talk through stuff. Portland, Milwaukee, Indiana, Memphis, it's a much faster game, more random, and you've got to be very disciplined in a lot of different aspects, otherwise you get exposed.
I guess to follow on that, how would you describe like the battle for controlling pace within a game, right? What does that look like, and how do you win that?
I think it's fascinating what's happening. I told the team today just, compared to even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, the game is so different, and everybody is playing. Not everybody, but most teams are playing with a lot more pace, and everybody's playing with more space. It's one of the reasons we've been dying to get a space 5 for the last couple of years, and having Quentin and Al so helpful. You get that space, but the pace of the games now is dictated by different factors. It's not just pushing the ball. It's crashing the offensive glass. It's building walls in transition, closing out to shooters. And the athletes are better, like in every sport. The athletes are bigger, stronger, faster, more skilled, and so defense has gotten more difficult.
As it pertains to you guys offensively, I remember us talking before the season, you wanted to play a little slower, a little bit more deliberate through Jimmy. I guess, what are the keys to controlling the pace offensively for you guys?
Well, we still want to play with pace. We still want to throw the ball ahead. But we found the balance at the end of last year once we got Jimmy from, playing with a little bit more deliberateness and spacing once Jimmy got the ball. Like, he's one of the best ISO players in the league. He's going to ISO 10, 12 times a game. So the key is we want to throw the ball ahead and get a layup or get an open three, get the ball moving. And then when Jimmy gets it, now we get to our spots. And it's kind of finding that sweet spot, because we don't want to go away from the split cuts for Steph and the ball movement and the flow that we've always played with. So I think part of this early season is finding that balance, between all of those things.
Steve, Phoenix has dropped 4 of their first 5. They've won 2 in a row. What do you see from them presenting a challenger? Obviously, a new roster from what they've been the last couple of years with their personnel.
I think Jordan Ott is doing a great job. They're really well organized. Watching their tape, they're really teaching a lot of the modern NBA principles of pace and space and cutting off the ball, and they put a lot of pressure on you. And we're going to have to be really sharp, at both ends to beat them. They obviously still have plenty of talent. Devin Booker's one of the best players in the league, and they got guys who can shoot it, and they've got high energy young players who are crashing the glass and running the floor. So I think they're doing a really good job, under the circumstances of kind of transitioning to a new era without Kevin and Brad Beal, and it's really impressive watching them.
A little bit of a bigger picture, but you got an NBA Cup game on Friday. I'm just curious what you think of the Cup and obviously the importance of you guys want to be there. You want to get to Vegas, just kind of an early season focus with these big games in November with regards to
I haven't given it any thought to this point because we have 2 games before then, but we'll be excited. I think the Cup games are fun. Players really want to win. I really want to win. But there is a different vibe in those games with the court, just knowing there's a little bit of money at stake for the player, a lot of money at stake for the players, and just a little different feel to those games. And it's obviously only year 3, but I think it's taking shape, and I think people are enjoying it.
Defensively, we've heard some players talk about some struggles with guard-to-guard actions. Is there anything distinct about guard-to-guard picks versus other ones that might give you guys some issues?
Yeah, it's a league-wide trend. OKC's been running a lot of guard-to-guard for the last couple of years, and we have more and more shooting now. And so these guard-to-guard screens often aren't screens at all. They're just fake screens and slips, and people are slipping to the three-point line and catching and shooting, and so it's not traditional pick-and-roll coverage. And it's not even the same guard-to-guard pick-and-roll coverage from 5 years ago because of the shooting and the pace and the speed. There's a lot of technique to guarding pick-and-roll. Some of that technique you can't even get to because teams are playing so fast. And so these are all things we have to take into account as a coaching staff and as a team. And there's a reason people are running it. It's hard to guard, and so we worked on a lot of that today.
Steve, Draymond's on-off numbers are pretty obvious right now. No surprise you guys are better with Draymond on the floor than off of it. But defensively, how do you continue to pick up the slack when he is off the floor where you don't need to overwork him and overexert him throughout a season too?
Yeah, well, again, the game is connected. The pace and space of the modern game requires discipline on our offensive rebounding, on our transition defense, how those things connect. Way too many gaps in the defense in the first 7 games, allowing penetration. The principles of the game have not changed. You want to stay in front of your man. You want to avoid penetration. If you can stay between your man and the ball, all those principles are exactly the same. But the game is being played so differently with the pace and the space and the three-point shot that's become a much more difficult proposition. And so Draymond is the best in the world at covering for his teammates, creating deception for the offensive player, which makes him hesitate for a second. He's amazing with that stuff. So when he's not out there, we better be rock solid with our discipline and the principles that we have to follow in order to, make teams have to work.
With the game being faster, like this season, how does that sort of affect how deep you go into your rotations and the minutes that are put on like the veteran players?
Yeah, we have to address that. We did today. I sat down with Mike and Rick Celebrini and Dre, Steph, and Jimmy, the 3 main guys who were going to play heavy minutes. And this was, I mentioned it the other night, 7 games in 12 days, 5 cities, not an easy schedule. And I think it showed. The last 2 games we looked a half step slow in a lot of ways. So we're constantly collaborating with the players on this stuff. I'm collaborating with our performance team. They have all the data showing how fatigued these guys are, how fast they run, their recovery, time, all of that stuff. And so what that means is we have to navigate not only just back-to-backs, but 3 games, 4 nights. The rules that the NBA gives us in terms of which games guys can rest, which games they can't. And that's something we are really having to dive into now that the season is going, and it's rolling. It's not easy, but we'll do it collaboratively.
What were some of the conclusions of that conversation?
Not every back-to-back is the same. This week it's almost like a home back-to-back since we're just driving to Sacramento. No airplane involved, no time change. I think last week's trip, Indiana-Milwaukee, was actually harder than a back-to-back despite having a day in between because of the travel and because we were coming off so many games. So the schedule isn't going to always sort of be black and white in terms of when to sit a guy, when to rest a guy. Same thing with each guy's condition physically. Sometimes they're banged up, sometimes they're not. Sometimes if you have 3 and 4 nights and the third game is coming after a day off, that bothers players more than the back-to-back because it's 3 and 4 nights, especially the older guys. So these are all things we have to consider.
On that note, has there been a decision about which game Al's going to play?
No decision yet. Actually, there is, but I'm not telling.